In a cold, rainy grocery lot, a cart attendant is blamed for a scratch he likely didn't cause. A delivery driver steps out, buys a prepaid card with her rent cash to put down a repair deposit, and cancels her stacked orders, risking deactivation. The night's tone changes on the spot, and the quiet act ripples into small, steady kindnesses in the days that follow. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, where are you tuning in from? Leave your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach. The rain came steady over the grocery lot, thin and cold, like it meant it. The neon open sign buzzed, a weak pink square in the window. Puddles spread between painted lines, and the drain at the corner gurgled like it was swallowing too slow. Carts squeaked like mice. The air smelled like wet cardboard and exhaust, with a little sting of bleach from the mopped entry. He pushed a line of carts toward the corral, shoulders tight under a cracked plastic poncho. The wheels fought him in the channel where the asphalt sagged. Zip ties held one handle together. His breath showed in little clouds. The orange strap of his safety vest stuck to his neck and left a red mark there, the kind you only notice when you get home. No one really saw him. They saw the rain. They saw their bags. They saw the bright door where it was dry and the shelves past that. Behind his right ear, a small hearing aid blinked a thin green light. He kept rubbing the back of his glove where the fabric had thinned to almost nothing. When a cart rolled crooked, he nudged it with a hip and sighed into the steam of his own breath. In a dented hatchback idling by the fire lane, a woman watched the rain creep down the windshield. The wipers squeaked on every third pass and left a street that made the world look scratched too. Her phone sat in its little cradle, cracked screen bright with a map. The app showed a $2 boost if she took the next run, then flashed 3. A brown paper bag crinkled on the floor by her feet. The emptied had held already delivered. The gas light had clicked on 20 minutes ago and stayed on like a finger pointed at her. A folded paper with late fee underlined sat in her coat pocket. The cup holder held an inhaler with a rubber band around it. She rubbed her eyes with the back of her hand and watched the cart kid work through the rain like a ghost in orange. A shout cut through the hiss of water on asphalt. Heads turned quick and mean the way people turn when someone else might be wrong. A couple under a shared umbrella slowed, interested. Near the sedan with the chrome rims, a man in a baseball cap waved both arms. He kept his face screwed up like he was trying to read a menu and couldn't. The young man in the poncho was standing there, with both hands on a cart, rain running off the hood. The man jabbed a finger at a silver scratch near his rear wheel. "You hit it," he said loud enough for the rain to carry. He stepped close and brought his phone right up to the paint, like it could take a picture of blame. The young man in the vest looked at the cart, then the scratch, then the cart again. He shook his head. He held his hands up, palms out, slow, not touching anything. He tried to speak, and then glanced to the side as if looking for a word that had rolled away. Phones came up like small moons. A woman under an umbrella said, "Oof." Someone called, "Where's the manager?" Inside the glass doors, a woman in a navy polo lifted a walkie-talkie and said something short into it, eyes already hard. The automatic doors breathed and shut and breathed again. The cart line bumped into a curb with a sad, hollow bang. Her phone buzzed. 2 new orders stacked. The boost climbed another $1, and the clock on the top of the screen marched toward pass late. Her stomach remembered the late fee notice folded in her pocket, the one with the red line under the number. She could make 2 runs and maybe pay it. She could ignore the mess in the lot and pretend she hadn't seen. The boy in the back seat kept sleeping, his mouth open, his hair stuck to his forehead, one sock half off his heel. She stepped out into the rain. The cold caught the back of her neck. Water ran off the edge of her hood and down her back, finding the place where her sweatshirt had worn thin. She didn't slam the door because he was sleeping. She tucked her keys into her jacket pocket and walked toward the circle of sound where the man was still pointing. The manager stood there now, nodding at the angry words like they were receipts she had to sign. "I can cover the fix," she said, voice steady. "There's a shop up on Maple. They can look at it in the morning. I'll put something down now so you believe me." She put her hands at her sides so no one would think she was reaching for a fight. She didn't look at the phones. She looked at the scratch because it was a thing and not a person. It was small, the size of a paperclip. He laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Why would you do that?" he said. "You know him." He looked her up and down and got stuck on her wet sneakers, on the threads showing at one knee. "This is between me and the store," he said. "Not your business." He flicked a look at the manager like, "You hearing this?" She called a body shop a few blocks away. The owner answered on the fourth ring, voice rough with sleep, even though it wasn't that late. She put the phone under the lip of her hood to keep the rain off. "There's a scratch on a black sedan," she said, and gave a make and model, reading the badge off the trunk. "We need a quick look in the morning. Can you hold a slot if I send a deposit?" The owner grunted. "Cash in the morning or card now?" he said. "Text me a photo so I have a sense." On her screen, an alert bloomed, "Late cancel. This may affect your status." She had to hit it anyway. The app pulsed red and then went dim, as if it had washed its hands of her. She texted the photo of the scratch with her free hand, thumb numb from rain. She looked at the man. "He can do 8, she said, and heard her own voice like it was coming from the far side of a window. "He needs a deposit on a card to hold it." She pulled a white envelope from under the owner's manual. Rent money. She had written the word rent on it in block letters with a blue pen the week before, then crossed it out when she had to borrow for an inhaler, then written it again because she wanted to believe the word could be true. She counted bills with wet fingers. It wasn't all there. It still hurt to see it move. "I can buy a prepaid card," she said to the manager. "Can you ring me up quick?" Something loosened in the air. The manager looked at the boy sleeping in the back seat through the rain-smeared glass, and then at the envelope in the woman's hand. "Come," she said, and held the door. She waved off a couple who had started to come in and got them to wait. They went to the end cap with the gift cards, where the colors all looked too bright under the store lights. The woman picked a silver one with $150 on the front and carried it like it could break. At the register, the manager keyed something fast and slid the card through and listened for the beep. The young woman peeled the sticker to see the numbers and felt the glue stick to her thumb. The rain in the doorway made a low curtain. Her hair stuck to her face and tickled. Out in the lot, the man watched, arms crossed, water dripping off the brim of his cap. The young man in the orange vest wiped rain from his lashes and looked at her. The green light on his hearing aid blinked twice. He had not moved from the spot where he stood when the shouting started. He held himself like any motion might make it worse. "I'm sorry," he said, but it came out small and careful, like he had practiced the word to fit. He touched the edge of the device like he didn't trust it to hold. "I didn't see it hit," he said. "I swear." The manager shot him a look that wasn't hard, not exactly, just tired. In his back pocket, a folded bus schedule had gone dark at the edges where the rain found it. She read the card numbers to the man on the phone at the shop, slow so she didn't mix them. He misheard one and she had to start over. When it went through, her phone buzzed with the text, "Your deposit is received. Come by at 8. She screenshotted that and the address and showed it to the man with the cap. He squinted at the glass. He wanted to keep his jaw set, but it slackened a little. The rain kept tapping the brim of his hat like a finger telling him to knock it off. She tucked her wet hair behind her ear and walked back to her car. No hands clapped. The lot just went back to rain. Back in the car, the boy was awake. He blinked at the rain and then at her. "Are we in trouble?" he asked. His voice was raspy from sleep and the cold he couldn't quite shake. She reached over and squeezed his knee. "We're okay," she said. "Close your eyes a little more." He looked at the window and the red lights from the soda machine making the rain look like it had ketchup in it, and he nodded and tucked his hands into his jacket sleeves like secret pockets. Later, the night kept going, as nights do. She drove a slow loop along the river and took one last small order, the only one the app would give her after the cancel. She ate a granola bar over the steering wheel and thought about the envelope sitting lighter in the glove box. She rubbed the spot on her chest where worry always sat. Her voicemail blinked with a message about the fee, but she let it sit. At a red light, she checked the text from the shop again, even though she knew what it said. "Your deposit is received," it read. "Come by at 8. The address sat there under the words like a promise with teeth. She pictured the man's car, in the bright of a garage, the buffer whining, a hand with a rag making circles. In the cup holder, the inhaler leaned to one side. The next week, small things shifted. 2 kids with hoodies up walked their cart all the way to the corral without their mum telling them, and one of them even jogged after a runaway and laughed like it was a game. A man with a soft voice left a blister pack of hearing aid batteries at the customer service desk and said, "For whoever uses these," and the clerk wrote "cart" on the sticky note and stuck it to the plastic. The manager bought thicker ponchos, the kind that didn't crack, and made sure the cart crew worked in pairs when it rained, and no one rolled their eyes this time. She taped a note near the time clock that said, "Stay inside 10 when lightning. No acceptance odds." A woman with a cane waited for the young man to finish with his carts, and then asked if he could load a case of water into her trunk. He did it like it was a prize he got to carry. On his break, he opened the batteries and clicked a new one in with hands that still shook a little. By then, the man with the shiny sedan had gone to the shop. The scratch wasn't deep. It polished out in 10 minutes. He watched the buffer and kept saying, "Ha," like the sound was a new thing in his throat. He called the number on the receipt and left a voicemail that sounded awkward and a little younger than he had seemed in the lot. "I shouldn't have yelled," he said. Later, a small envelope showed up at the service desk with a short note inside. "My bad. Buy lunch for the cart guys." A gift card slid out like a square of relief. The manager put it in the drawer for Friday, and when Friday came, the cart crew ate hot food in the break room with their coats off and their sleeves pushed up, laughing at a video of a dog chasing its tail. The man in the cap came in once, stood in the doorway like someone visiting a place he had never been, and then left the envelope with the clerk because he couldn't find the words. The boy saw things, too. He put his stickers in another kid's hand on the bus when she cried about her lost glove. He told his teacher, "My mom knows a place that fixes cars," like it was a family secret that could help if needed. When a shopping cart rolled away in the wind while she loaded groceries a week later, he hopped down, rain boots splashing, and steered it back with both hands and his whole small body. He stood there with water dripping off his nose, proud and very serious, and she had to bite the inside of her cheek to keep from crying in the parking lot. Most nights, the rain just falls. You go to work and go home and try to stretch your money until the end of the week. You try to keep your kid warm and remember the inhaler and not lose your keys. Nobody sings about a person who keeps a line of carts from getting loose in a storm, but sometimes someone steps into a bad minute and holds it still so it can pass. It costs something. It still feels like a win you can fold and put in your pocket. A clean train of carts slid into the corral. The young man in the orange vest pushed the last one in and tapped it twice like you do to make sure it's snug. Across the lot, a small car pulled out slow, wipers dragging. The woman had her hand on the wheel at 10 and 2. The boy watched through a fogged window and drew a smiley face in it with one finger. In the puddle by the corral, the neon made a bright stripe, and for a breath, the water looked almost warm.